evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. Let's start tonight's broadcast with the alert level system being expanded to several areas outside of Metro Manila.
Select provinces and cities from Luzon to Mindanao will be placed under varying alert levels starting tomorrow, October 20, until the end of the month, October 31st. The strictest alert level 4 will be imposed in Negros Oriental and Davao Occidental. Similar to Metro Manila's alert status, Cavite, Laguna, Rizal, Siquijor, Davao City, and Davao del Norte will all be under alert level 3. And to have the loosest restrictions so far in the country under alert level 2 are Batangas, Quezon Province, Lucena City, Bohol, the cities of Cebu, Lapu-Lapu, and Mandaue, as well as the entire Cebu Province, Davao de Oro, Davao del Sur, and Davao Oriental. Alert level 1 is not yet up in any part of the country, as 70% of an area's population should be vaccinated first before the lowest level is raised.
To guide you on that shift to the alert level system, here are some important reminders. For indoor dining, 10% capacity is allowed under alert level 4. That rises to 30 for level 3 and to 50 for level 2. For outdoor dining, level 4 is at 30% capacity. That goes up by increments of 20% per level. Take note that diners and employees should all be fully vaccinated. For industries like film, music, and TV production, 10% is allowed for indoor events under alert level 4, and that goes up by 20% per alert level. All employees should also be fully vaccinated. That's also the allowed operating capacity for indoor gyms, studios, and non-contact exercises. But for outdoor activities, 30% is allowed under alert level 4. That eases by 20% per alert level. Both patrons and staff should be fully vaccinated. Contact sports like basketball and volleyball are not allowed for alert level 4, but it is permissible in a bubbles type setup for alert level 3. 50% is allowed for alert level 2. Same goes with outdoor contact sports at alerts 4 and 3, but 70% is allowed for alert level 2. Players and staff should also be fully vaccinated. While there's a general guideline for operating capacity in establishments, one thing remains confusing. Are minors and senior citizens allowed to go out under level 3?
According to the Metro Manila Council, yes, they are allowed, but adding to the confusion are establishments with their own set of rules. Jenny Dongon has the big story.
For the first time in 18 months, Elizabeth had high hopes that she would be able to bring her kids to the mall. After all, Metro Manila has shifted to alert level 3. But it was not meant to be. Her kids were not allowed to enter.
Bibili kami ng gatas nung baby ko. Itinry namin.
Ano nangyari?
Sabi nung guard, hindi pa daw namin pwedeng. Nalilito ko yung 4 level na sinasabi nila, hindi ko alam.
The Metro Manila Council has clarified minors can go out but with parent or guardian supervision.
Manila mayors ng council is with reference to the travel lang. Intrazonal and interzonal travel na sinasabi lang dapat kasama ng parent or any adult. The word is adult guardian. Hindi ka pwede magsama ng guardian na hindi adult.
Abalos warned that those aged 18 below who are traveling without their parent or guardian will be given a warning. But because of the confusing and non-uniform policies, 72-year-old Corazon decided to stay at home for her own safety.
Hindi ako gumagala.
Bakit po?
Ayoko, tsaka tatakot ako eh.
Malacanang reiterated that fully vaccinated seniors are allowed to visit malls and other establishments.
Hindi po natin binabawi yung incentive na binigay natin sa seniors, ganun pa rin po yun. Ang hindi natin inaalaw pa ngayon ay yung mga minor de edad na magpunta sa mga malls kasi hindi sila bakunado po. Unlike the senior citizens na posibleng bakunado na sila. Dalhin nyo lang po yung inyong Vax-Cert PH o yung proof of vaccination at ipakita sa mga malls.
But some malls in Metro Manila prefer their own guidelines to be implemented. In Ayala malls, only those 18 to 65 years old with ID and vaccination card are allowed to enter the building. It's the same with Estancia, but with more leeway for the elderly.
kung essential yung bibilin talaga and accompanied sila ng isang 18 to 65, we normally allow. Kasi usually naman, basic needs lang naman yung binibili nila.
Abalos has urged mall operators not to implement weekday sales to avoid gathering of huge crowds. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, PR1 News.
To get more clarity on what is or not allowed, joining us tonight, Restituto Padilla, spokesman for the National Task Force versus COVID-19. General Padilla, welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen, and to all the televiewers watching and following the program. Good evening to you all. I hope all of you are all in good condition and healthy.
Oh, kayo rin po. General, nakita niyo na, maraming nalilito pa rin. Is there an easy way to remember all of these protocols and guidelines, at the very least for minors and seniors, or ang pinakang safe ng ba is to just check with kung saan man kayo pupunta?
Opo, pero siguro majority of the movement right now is in the NCR. Kaya ang maipapayo lang namin, sundin lang natin yung mga patakaran. So, paano mas madaling tandaan yung mga patakaran? How do we remember all of these regulations that are now out to ensure everybody's healthy, no? Yung 3 C's po na paulit-ulit na sinasabi, tandaan lang po natin yan. For 18 to 65 years old, basta bakunado, dala nyo yung ID nyo at saka vaccination card nyo, pwede kayo sa loob ng mall. Pero yung mga bata at saka hindi bakunado, usually mas maganda ho i-avoid nyo yung mga mall. Kasi pumapasok ho sa 3 C's yung ibang mga lugar na pinupuntahan natin. What are the 3 C's that we have been reminded every time by health experts? These are crowded places, close contact settings, and confined and enclosed spaces. So most of these spaces na na-mention ko, yung crowded, close contact settings at saka confined and enclosed, wala ho masyadong sirkulasyon ng hangin dyan. At kaya yung free air movement ay mas nagiging stagnant kadalasan at mas magiging conducive to pass any virus if they are present in the atmosphere. So kung hindi ho kayo bakunado, and especially the children, kasi hindi pa sila mga bakunado, i-avoid ho lahat ng mga lugar na to. Yun po yung basic tenet na dapat nating tandaan. Pero pinapayagan ho silang lumabas sa mga lugar na hindi present itong tatlong ito. So in parks, in open areas, sa mga beaches, pwede yan. Pwede rin silang mag-interzonal at saka intrazonal, basta point-to-point. Kasama na rin po yung mga vaccinated na mga senior. So essentially, yun lang po yung dapat tandaan para mas madali ho nating maalala kung ano yung lugar na pwedeng puntahan ng mga kabataan, lalo na yung mga unvaccinated.
But General, doon po sa 3 C's na nabanggit nyo, kasi closed, confined spaces, maraming contact, almost by definition, mall talaga yung may isip ng mga tao.
Opo.
Yung private establishments po ba, are they allowed to come up with their own guidelines? And kung sakaling hindi tugma yung guidelines nila sa pinapalabas ng gobyerno, anong dapat manaig?
Ang LGU po ang nagpapatupad ng lahat ng mga patakaran. Meron po silang pruweba, depende sa kaso ng kanilang COVID cases. Kaya pwede nilang higpitan, pwede nilang luwagan. Depende po sa status nila. Kaya nga po yung alert level na in-expand na natin ang pilot implementation doon sa mga lugar na naipakita nyo kanina, yung mga nagiging patakaran ngayon sa Metro Manila, maaaring i-adapt din ang mga lugar na yan. So, kaya nga po, pinababawalan lang yung mga kabataan doon sa sinasabi nating lugar kasi nga mas magiging conducive na mahawaan sila kung sakasakaling may mga breakthrough cases. So, hintayin na lang po natin na matapos yung inoculation ng karamihan at siguraduhin natin yung mga kabataan ay napoprotektahan natin. Because previously, nakakukun po sila nasa mga bahay. Pero ngayon, na medyo nagluluwag na, nakikita natin ang pagbaba ng mga kaso, we want to ensure that the cases continue to go down. And ayaw nating madagdagan yung mga kaso pa. So, magtulong-tulong po tayo. Ang pagtutulungan natin ay mas lalong magiging mainam kung tayo po ay tumatalima sa mga health protocols at saka sa mga alituntunin pong nakasaad ngayon dito sa ating pinag-uusapan.
Okay, maraming salamat po, General Padilla. General Restituto Padilla, spokesman for the NTF versus COVID-19. COVID infections in the Philippines have seen a new low, so much so that tonight's big number is actually a small number, 4,496. That's the number of new COVID-19 cases logged on Tuesday, the lowest yet since July. We have to note that 7 laboratories did not submit their data. Nonetheless, the new low comes earlier than what Okta research has projected. Recall that they expected cases to decrease to 5,000 by the end of the month or November, but let's also note Tuesdays tend to always be the lowest numbers of every week.
These are the other big stories tonight. We don't want to sound like a broken record, but guess what? For the 8th straight week, another round of oil price hike starts today. Apart from a fair hike, transport groups now want fuel subsidies and cash aid. Fresh allegations sprout against Senator Manny Pacquiao over his breach of contract case against Paradigm Sports. Longtime associate Jake Hoson claims the presidential aspirant has not returned 165 million pesos in advance payments. And she might be dead serious about climate change, but teen activist Greta Thunberg shows she knows how to rickroll. She just launched a climate concert series by belting out "Never Gonna Give You Up." These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Our next story is about oil price hikes. And yes, we ran a story like this last week, but guess what? There's another big round this week.
It's been 2 whole months of continuous increases to the detriment of drivers and consumers. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the story.
This week marks the 8th straight week that local pump prices have been raised. Effective October 19, major oil companies raised diesel prices by 1 peso and 50 cents per liter and gasoline by 1 peso and 80 cents. Prices of kerosene also increased by 1 peso and 30 cents a liter. Since the start of the year, diesel has seen a net increase of 18 pesos a liter, while gasoline has jumped by roughly 19 pesos and 70 centavos a liter. Analysts say the rate this year is cause for concern. Global crude prices have been jumping because of tight supply, and the Philippines as a net oil importer is vulnerable to these swings. Transport Secretary Art Tugade has already said it's not the right time to raise fares.
Ito po ay masusing pinag-aaralan pa rin ng LTFRB, yung guidance po ni Secretary Tugade na dapat po balansehin natin ang pangangailangan ng ating mga drivers, yung pangangailangan ng ating mga operators.
They're also looking to increase the passenger capacity of public utility vehicles now that Metro Manila is under Alert Level 3. Currently, it's capped at 50% max.
Ang ating magiging proposal sa IATF ay hindi lamang po based on technical expertise but back up by medical studies na safe po itong pag-increase natin.
Transport groups are also demanding fuel subsidies and direct cash aid.
Ito ho kasing fuel subsidy na pinag-uusapan, marami hong opisina ang kinakailangang magsama-sama at magtulong-tulong dito para ho magkaroon ng source of funding.
Higher oil prices of course affect food prices directly, and retailers say they're also left in a difficult position.
Immediate yan. Kasi pag nagtaas ang gasolina kahapon, today when you deliver, mas pataas na yung cost of delivery mo, di ba?
KUA says none of the supermarkets in their group have raised prices for now, but may do so closer to Christmas. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Concerned individuals filed a criminal complaint against Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, Udena Corporation Chairman Dennis Uy, and 24 others for an alleged questionable sale of shares in the Malampaya Gas-to-Power project. The complainants allege that Cusi and other respondents gave unwarranted benefits and advantage to Uy in the sale of Chevron's share and transfer of rights in the Malampaya project. Last year, Uy's Malampaya Philippines completed the buyout. According to the complainants, that cost the government no less than 42 billion pesos.
As Metro Manila downgrades to Alert Level 3, cinemas are now allowed to operate again. But is the public ready to watch movies on the big screen? Mobile journalist Matthew Perez gives us a front seat to the story.
Heavily battered by the pandemic, the country's film industry gets a new lease as cinemas reopen under Alert Level 3. But the question is, will moviegoers even watch in movie houses? The sector as a whole lost 21 billion pesos since the onset of the pandemic. Producers alone had 16 billion pesos in losses, while 760,000 industry workers were affected.
Grabe talaga ang kailangan mga efforts na gawin to get the industry back on track, from starting to produce new films again, to screening of all the films na hold sa pagpapalabas.
Online streaming has been the main avenue for films nowadays, but filmmakers earn more through the big screen. Thing is, the reopening of cinemas is limited to 30%.
Pagka may manood na isa, kita yun. Yes, pero ito, nagbibigay talaga ng value, no? Ang isang streamer kung magkanong halaga ng pelikula mo.
But are people ready to go back to movie houses?
Siyempre, iba pa rin ang sa cinema kasi masarap manood ng sine kaysa bahay lang.
I will definitely support the film industry. Again, provided that all of the health protocols are met.
Siguro sa ngayon, hindi muna.
But once cinemas return, will filmgoers go for local or international movies?
Okay sa akin for English film.
English! More on support din naman ako sa ating mga Tagalog. Para sa ating mga Filipino artists.
I usually watch English films, pero if they are in Filipino, more on independent films ako.
The Film Development Council of the Philippines admits that Filipino movies need to be improved.
Kailangan natin mas maging agresibo, kailangan natin itaas ang kalidad ng mga pelikula natin to be more competitive.
While the opening of cinemas give us a semblance of pre-pandemic life, entering the movie house now comes with a sense of responsibility, especially as the threat of COVID-19 still looms in the air. This is mobile journalist Matthew Perez, and we are One News.
After her blah 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 stunt last time, environmental activist Greta Thunberg is at it again with another one.
This time around, she rickrolls the audience of the Climate Live concert in Stockholm, Sweden. Greta was supposed to deliver her opening remarks before the concert started. She was expected to be in her element of giving acerbic commentary on climate response, but Greta said, "We are no strangers to love."
That, of course, is the iconic opener of Rick Astley's hit Never Gonna Give You Up. And the man himself approved of Greta's rickrolling. Rick tweeted Climate Live's TikTok video and wrote "fantastic" as well as "thanks so much" in Swedish. Time for another quick break. When we return, Senator Manny Pacquiao won't go without a fight. He is suing Jake Hoson over his fresh allegations against the former boxer. And would you spend over 1,000 pesos for a polishing cloth? Well, in true Apple fashion, they just released a lint-free cloth for $19, and it's still selling like hotcakes. The details after the break.
You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. A former associate of Senator Manny Pacquiao alleges that the former boxer ran away with 165 million pesos in advance payments for a match that didn't push through.
Pacquiao's camp, meanwhile, is belying the accusations, and they say they will file criminal charges against him. Marian Enriquez with the details.
Senator Manny Pacquiao will file cyberlibel and estafa complaints against his former aide, Jake Hoson. That's after Hoson made claims that Pacquiao sought millions of advance payments from a fight promoter. That's 165 million pesos for his match with Irish UFC superstar Conor McGregor under Paradigm Sports. He and business manager Arnold Vegafria were able to secure the supposed contract for the match. Paradigm Sports provided the 100 million pesos, while the rest came from their own pocket. But the fight in question did not push through. And on Radio 5, Hoson claimed that Pacquiao ran away and did not return the money.
Kumbinsi po namin dahil sabi namin kailangan ng funds at marami siyang tinutulungan sa Pilipinas.
Pacquiao's legal counsel belied Hoson's accusations.
He's not even a party to the contract. So nagtataka kami kung saan nanggagaling ang ganong klaseng mga sinasabi.
They also questioned the timing of his pronouncements now that Pacquiao is running as president. Pacquiao's camp also noted that Hoson himself is running as first nominee of the Frontliners party list. He denied using Pacquiao's popularity to gain ground. He even went as far as swearing on a Bible as proof of stating the truth.
Ang dare ko lang po, ipatong po niya yung kamay niya dito sa Biblia at sabihin po niya na hindi totoo lahat ng sinasabi ko at nagsisinungaling ako.
Hoson became friends with Pacquiao in 2004. The pambansang anino became part of Team Pacman after the boxing champ helped him in his finances. They had a falling out in 2020 when the senator flagged him for alleged irregularities. Since then, their relationship had already gone sour, with Hoson starting to air their dirty laundry in public. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
For the big story in sports, in the PBA, the TNT Tropang Giga and the Magnolia Hotshots are both hoping that third time is the charm. They will battle it out for the PBA Philippine Cup crown beginning tomorrow. For the Tropang Giga, this will be the second straight season the team is advancing to the finals of the Philippine Cup. And similarly, the Hotshots are making their return trip to the finals. This will be their third entry to the championship round of the Philippine Cup in their last 4 seasons. Both teams admit that this will be no easy feat, especially since they are all hungry to finally win the crown.
Aside from releasing its new MacBook Pro and AirPods, Apple is now also selling a polishing cloth worth $19. That's around 1,100 pesos. The accessory, made out of non-abrasive material, can safely and effectively clean any Apple display, including nano-texture glass. At least the brand new polishing cloth works on all sorts of Apple products. Despite its price, it seems that it is a hit among loyal Apple fans, as the polishing cloth is now short in supply and now requires 4 to 5 weeks to ship.
You gotta add the shipping fee.
No.
If you're gonna buy online, di ba? Hindi pa rin tayo lalabas.
Hindi pa. Parang, nakita mo naman kanina sa balita, parang ang dami pang nakakalito, di ba? Tago na lang muna ako.
Hindi mo alam eh. Actually, kung ikaw lalabas ka, kung alert level 4, 3, 2, 1, parang para sa akin, it's all the same. Because I can't memorize, ano ba dito, 30%, 50%. Tsaka sino mag-monitor?
Kaya ako parati ko sinasabi sa pamilya ko tsaka sa mga kaibigan ko, concentrate on what you know is safe. Don't concentrate on what's allowed. Diba? Kasi kahit naman allowed, hindi naman necessary. So, ang gawin mo, yung alam mong safe. Huwag kang mag-concentrate dun sa ano bang pwede.
That's right. And we have to constantly remind ourselves that the virus is still there.
Still
and even
there.
if cases are going down, we need to be responsible because we have our families at home.
Ingat pa rin.
Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.